2.
Oftentimes when you get level 2 first in a Lulu Yuumi lane, what you see sometimes happen is the Lulu takes W and then just flash W's the Yuumi and maybe they can get an ult in there. But yeah, DOS didn't get the level up and didn't have vision either. Photon and Irrelevance, lots of trades. So Markoon has done the 3 camps and he's moved into top side. He's going to find Bo here.
Bo's going to be in trouble here. This is going to be difficult. Markoon now looking to lock him down. Leaps up, comes right back down to Bo, moving back into the camp, flashing out safety. Markoon just going to run him down on an absolute tear here in the early game. 2 games back to back, finding these big advantages. And Perks now trying to trade back a bit of damage going down onto Certus. Zone him out of that one, but excellent start for SK.
Perks had to flash too. The Syndra stun was about to hit him. If that landed, then Markoon could follow up the cocoon and he would get chunked out and have to TP back already. Really good pathing from Markoon on this Elise. Punishes Bo on his clear. Doesn't take away any camps, so Bo should be able to pick those up. The smite did come down, but the wolf didn't die. So first blood to him. And he knows that Bo has to go back towards those top camps. Now, what does Markoon do with this? Does he instantly run bot and look for a dive on the next wave? Neon and Kaiser very low. Or does he start to clear his camps? Let's keep an eye on the Elise. Looks like he's just running straight towards the bot side. Scuttle crabs up.
Does look like he... Not sure if he got spotted by that ward there in the end, but we'll take out the crab and it'll just be a trade for both junglers.
Here
but now calls
dive
on the bottom side. If you're in-house, you can hear the SK players shouting, looking for this opportunity. Stun is going to connect on the Kaiser. That is one dead cat! Neon potentially the next one on the list. Markoon debating if they can go for the dive here. Ignite ticking, but he's just going to jump back to the wave. And again, incredibly dominant early game start from SK Gaming on the back of Markoon's Elise.
And they're having so much fun. You can hear them laughing through these soundproof headsets that we're even using. So they're laughing really hard, really good calls coming in, and that's the flash polymorph I was talking about on the Yuumi if she oversteps. Chain CC was there. Bo gonna clear out his blue buff now, try to get some information as to where Markoon will be in the next couple of minutes. They know he's bot side for now, but they want to spot him as he moves back towards his top side. Could look for Irrelevant if he wraps around, but Photon is quite low. Irrelevant's half HP. See how the wave state is. Do they have the damage to kill the Renekton is the question. Level 3 Maokai, level up here for the Renekton. I think Bo is unsure.
I mean, Photon's low on mana. They don't have an Ignite to stop the healing.
Don't know if they have the
5,
damage.
3 points in Q. This really shouldn't be possible. Can just dash through Bo here. Good Q, though, from Bo. That's going to be big. Maybe they can turn this one back. Flash out to safety from Relevant. It looks like they will have the damage in the end. Well played by Bo. Beautiful Arcane Smash.
Yeah, really, really good. Stops the Renekton from getting the E through him and then looking to be able to flash E out. So they did have the damage. Early kill over to Bo, but again, it's not really about the Maokai, the Renekton, the Ornn. It's about getting bot lane ahead, I think, or getting carries ahead. No
Perks?
flash on Perks. Certus, does he have the cooldown on his QE? Gonna miss the Q. Nice dodge by Perks.
Anticipating sidestep here, and again, the name of the game for Vitality is scaling. Easy to see when you have double 80 carries on your lineup. The fact that they're starting this far behind, though, in the early game is a bit disastrous, but again, it's going to be about Markoon further snowballing these advantages, or bot lane further snowballing their advantages.
Yep. Nice hold on the wave there by DOS. Make sure his 80 carry can get a small CS lead. And actually, the kill going over to Bo does help, of course, because he will go the AP build.
Yeah, the sooner you get Demonic Embrace, the sooner you really just start to take over the enemy jungle with this Maokai. So much information from the saplings, and they do so much damage against champions who really aren't going to build defensive stats in mid and jungle. It becomes so hard to roam, to make any kind of proactive plays yourself.
Ooh, that pink ward is doing work. They didn't check the bush. I think Markoon placed that before he based. So a lot of information as to where Bo is. They know he's on Krugs, Irrelevant to play as aggressive as he wants. Ooh, we might find Neon here. No flash.
Area. Ooh. A little bit wide on that one. Maybe anticipating some more forward stepping there from Neon.
Yeah, I mean, he was predicting his movement, but Neon pinked and then turned around instantly, so it looked a little bit silly there for Markoon. Bot crabs up, that's what both these junglers are trying to contest. Markoon has dropped a lot of camps to keep the pace up of the game. He has a lot of bot push, and Bo is in the river, but he doesn't have any mid push to collapse onto this Maokai. Bo has the smite, so does Markoon. We'll see who gets the crab on the minimap, but there's a fight in bots right now, trying to zone Neon back from these creeps.
Zignek stepping forward, damage, not quite going to connect there. The Ultra Shock laser not going through the wall is... Level 6 is there for both top laners, but a fight could be breaking out on the bottom side. Bo with the XP advantage. Moving in to start this Drake, though, is a bit risky. Markoon only level 4.
He tried to repel over the wall to start the dragon by avoiding the scuttle, but there's a ward in the pit, so now they know Elise has no repel, and they show on the crab ward anyway. There's a chance for Vitality to collapse here if their bot lane can arrive. Looks like they just want to push out the wave and base. Bo could steal it with a sapling maybe, but I doubt that'll happen.
No, just wait. Good patience from Marcoon. Let's Sapperling connect, and then it goes for the smite. So at the end of the day, SK grabbing the objective, further extending that early lead, but DOS, I like it. It's a little psycho, playing with fire here, but we'll stop both bases, and Exekick now level 6 means Neon and Kaiser have to be very careful.
They do. No flash on Neon just yet. They have barrier, heal, exhaust, so they have a lot of peel defensive tools. Maybe they feel confident enough to step up. See if they can get that wave on the tower there. Herald spawning in 15 seconds. These double pinks from SK here, just doing so much work on the entrances. Ward over the wall as well. Feels like it's quite hard for Bo to be unspotted, but I think he is at the moment. Looking around the mid lane. Doesn't have the ultimate. Does have the flash, twisted advance. Certs has flash to match though.
Again from Perks, damage in, is just going to try to lock me down. He's been brought back under tower. Marcoon going to go wide on the Cocoon, and that's going to be big. Now it's going to be one at least taken down. Perks now looking for the reset. Will leap right back over the wall. DOS in the area as well. There's just no way.
He's
DOS going to take him out. 2 for 1 in favor of SK here eventually. Yeah. No. There it is.
He's gone. So 2 kills over force from Vitality. SK are just running away with this early game. They're going to get a Herald off the back of this as well. So early Dragon, early kills on the Elise. 2-0-2. Marcoon leading the charge for SK as he did yesterday. And that's a flash down on the Maokai as well. That's the problem with flash Wing someone with flash up. They can just take you under the tower with them.
Yeah.
Normally you just want to get the ult out first to get their flash and then go. Oh, it's like Bo is just walking in here.
Level 6.
Can he get there in time?
Unconcerned. Can just start to throw out the ultimate. They might not be able to grab the Herald, but they're going to at least be able to grab a kill. Ulti coming in from Photon. Just going to get a bit of poke down onto Relevant.
Marcoon dead.
Ult.
Nice stunts.
Now
Neon spell shielded it. Has the
goes
Raptor.
Up, back to the Raptors. Neon now flashing forward. He desperately wants to shut down an extra 150 gold in his pocket. It goes over to the Yumi, but he's not complaining.
Good response from Vitality. Bo's kind of aware of how long it'll take for SK to take that Herald down, knowing that he can punish them on the exit route because there's no flash on the Elise. DOS, not much he can do, trying to zone away Bo, but he has flash up, yes, but there's too much CC. Can't get far enough away to merit using the flash. Perks is going to be in time for bot wave. Neon takes over mid, so small lane swaps coming in from Vitality. And SK's early game has been strong, but Vitality are still up in gold.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think impressive that they are able to build an advantage when they were so far behind early on. Bo really staying, keeping his eyes on the prize, farming out, contesting those objectives, grabbing those kills. It's going to be interesting to see now what they actually get done here on the side of SK, how they can try to gain control of this game once again.
I think the thing that stings the most here is SK didn't get the Herald buff. If they had that, bot tower would be down on the next wave with Marcoon coming down and Perks having to base. So they can't crack open the game. That would have been a huge gold swing if they could have just taken that tower, put in the Zeri mid, leave Syndra bot with TP, but that's not available now that the buff wasn't picked up. Maybe a plate here for Certus. Perks still yet to base, has the Hex Drinker first item. I mean, against Elise Syndra, it makes sense. Makes it very hard to look for dives.
Yeah, 100 zeroing Perks is going to be very, very difficult. He's more than happy to just keep farming up. Range advantage only going to get more in his favor as the levels start to come through. Certus, though, getting some good poke down here. Has not used the ultimate either. Overall, Vitality doing well to even out what was a pretty difficult early game. Again, credit to Marcoon for finding 2 games back-to-back, these early advantages for the Elise, but the mid-game, late games where Vitality get really scary. Just a trade of abilities here, both throwing out the ultimate trade for the Cocoon of Marcoon.
Just keeping my eyes on bot, watching Exekick and DOS, their movement around this tri-bush. They're just keeping the waves on the tower and constantly hovering. It makes it so hard for Bo to even walk into this river. They're just sitting on this pink ward, so Vitality are just constantly saying, bot lane's missing, you need to be really careful. And maybe they can find them. I'm gonna step up and clear wards here. Q out there to see if they can hear the sound of someone being there. And like you said, nice backstep. Maybe they can land a Cocoon on the Yumi. No, dodges away.
Wide. This is where it starts to get difficult. Marcoon has to be careful. He's going to into the air and just go right back down on the minion line on the retreat.
On the way comes Certus to help them if they overextend. The whole idea is keeping this bot push and keeping that pink ward alive. That gives them access to mid first and also allows them to start Drake in the next 40 seconds. Certus lands the stun.
In trouble. Big ulti now coming out. Perks leaving out to safety. Hexdringer keeping him standing, but Certus now should have total control of this wave. That said, TP up and available for Perks.
Yep, has the TP. Should be able to get back into the lane in time. We'll lose a creep for it. Doesn't have to burn a summoner, but Syndra's going to do more and more damage. No ability power on Certus just yet. It's only sorcerer shoes, so once it gets towards that Lost Chapter, that Ludens is going to hurt even more as Perks tries to build towards his Mythic, expecting a Kraken Slayer here. A lot of pressure relieved bot there, though, because Certus has no more spells and has to base, which means it turns into a 3v3, so Vitality can actually start fighting back. No more numbers disadvantage, but Dragon spawning in 5 seconds' time. No Syndra ultimate. Marcoon's given up. A little bit of the bot lane access. Bo will get this dragon, you have to imagine, as X-Kick and DOS have also recalled.
And now it seems like Bo will be able to match the opposition in terms of grabbing a single Drake here. Find out what Rift it's going to be, what Soul will be on the line for both of these teams. Infernal could be a... Oh, not Infernal. Ocean would be a big deal in a game like this.
Hextech would be the strongest one. It's going to be Cloud.
Cloud, nice.
Shout out to Atlas, shout out to the LCK.
Yep.
Their favorite. So now we've got a bit of a shift in the lanes. Bot lane's gone towards mid. Both solo lanes are bots without TP. And Marcoon is now taking away camps on the top side. Of course, he hears the dragon die. Needs to get something in return, even if it's small. It's going to be a Gromp. Here comes a force in mid.
In. Flash out from DOS. Good awareness.
Yeah, good flash. That root lands, he's near chain CC and die. Sivir ult used. No Yuumi ult used yet, though, so they can look for a replay when Bo revisits mid on next wave. Perks jumping forward, trying to get some trade on. Nice bone plating rune there from Certus, helping him out when the Tristana does look for those all-ins.
You can see, though, that it's a little bit difficult for the Syndra. You obviously want to use the Scatter the Weak for the trade for the additional damage, but ideally you're using it to interrupt the rocket jump of the Tristana.
Mythics haven't been built just yet, but there's the Blade picked up for Irrelevant, which means against the Ornn he'll have a little bit more pressure. But the Ornn in teamfights is going to be an absolute monster against champions like Syndra. It's going to be very hard for her to weave through the fights. And the Maokai saplings are going to do more and more and more damage. Of course, you put points in Q early, but then as the game progresses, you can start putting points in E, get towards Leanderies, and then start controlling this river. Plate over to Photon as they swap Certus top.
Taking him down. I guess concerned about the kill pressure from Perks there. Not entirely sure, but ultimately gonna just try to find the lane setup that they are the most comfortable with here.
Yeah, 45 seconds on Herald. And I think the reason they're doing this is Irrelevant has TP.
Yep.
Certus doesn't. Herald's up.
Makes sense.
We need to make a 5v5 happen. And looks like he'll get a bot tower on the reset anyway. So first brick over to the Renekton.
But the gold, I mean, dead even. We're on 15 minutes in. It's 4 kills to 4. It's 1 Drake to 1. The tower, the only thing separating them, but all these towers are going to get lower.
It's going to come down to one explosive fight around the Dragon or a Herald. There's a Night Harvester for the Elise. Soon we'll see the item being picked up by Syndra, whether it's Ludens or Leanderies, whatever it may be. And once those mythics are complete, I think that's when SK should feel very confident, start forcing.
Tense game
Bo's going in here.
Getting pulled back over the wall. Marcoon going a little bit wide there on the Cocoon. You have to feel that he could have waited for that one. Bo getting
TP.
sped up and zoomed out to safety.
Little bit quick on the trigger there, I think. SK, it's not going to hurt too much though, because the Herald is up. Can push Perks back. Bo doesn't have the ultimate now. And now they can look to force this Herald, you have to imagine, after Certus pushes out top. X-Kick's lost access to his ult too. This is where the fight will happen. Does SK give it up or do they fight it? Irrelevant spacing, he has no TP left, so it looks like SK is saying, we don't have the position for this, we don't have the position to take this fight.
It's hard. I mean, you're looking at Photon at level 11, 2 ranks in the Ornn ultimate up and available for this fight. I don't know how much easier it gets if we go later into the game for the side of SK. The Ornn items are going to start to come through pretty soon here after this exchange. SK finally ready to contest, but Demonic Embrace Maokai, isn't that fun and interactive?
Oh, it's reset and Irrelevant actually ran from base back here. It's just Marcoon's taking so much damage from all this poke. Needs to heal up on maybe red buff, just pick up that buff and then get the regen from it and then maybe just buy time. Ornn items slowly coming in. Photon's trying to craft up some more items before this fight. Doesn't have access to the upgrades yet. Pushing top from Perks, Irrelevant's matching. Midwave's constantly in SK's favor.
Neon doing what he can to clear this wave out. SK just trying to leverage his priority to start to poke their head into the jungle, or rather into the river. Spot out this Herald.
Meanwhile, Perks is dead.
Perks just going to get isolated and taken down by Irrelevant. That's just a straight up solo kill. Marcoon comes, but he's not even on the assist board.
What happened in top? I mean, Perks doesn't have any real armor to fight against the Renekton, but he's used his flash. Irrelevant has as well. Maybe he was greeding for the tower or something along those lines, and then...
Yeah, does get the tower.
Irrelevant got the gap closed. Gale Force picked up for Perks, bit of a mobility. Doesn't really, I guess he doesn't really need Kraken perhaps against SK. Doesn't really have any front line, but does more damage overall. Herald over to SK. They can use that mid to crack open the tower, give them access to the next dragon. Looking forward to seeing that replay as to what actually happened to Perks there, because obviously when he falls, the whole Herald play just falls apart as well.
Yeah.
Around a minute or two spent from both sides trying to set that up, look for something. Dragon's up soon, of course. So we'll see SK move towards bot side. There's the Leanderies for Certus.
That's going to be big in the fights to come. Extra damage, especially against those beefier targets.
Wow. Just ease through a creep. Perks must not have W then. They must have used W a little bit earlier on, the rocket jump. Relevant just E's through a creep, flash stuns him, and he flashes it as well there. Perks, but yeah, second E comes in. Blade of the Ring King Renekton. So much damage. We'll get close to that Prowler's Claw, so even more damage and gap close coming in soon.
Yeah.
Mid-wave contest, Perks on the way.
Seeing what they can get done here. Neon obviously incredible wave clear at this stage of the game. Exekick doing what he can to fire back. Vitality full control over the objective. In the straight 5v5, you have to feel like Vitality are favored. Again, if SK can find flanks, if they can find angles, maybe they can get something done here. But with Relevant, no flash, no ultimate, no TP, and moving towards the top side, I think they are just going to concede this Cloud Drake.
They are. Looks like they're going to herald mid, you have to imagine here. With all of them being in the bot side river, they can just pressure mid. See how Vitality responds. They could just look for a Maokai ult here. Perks TP is up in 5. That will be their angle for a fight. Or they can just go mid to top here, SK. There's the Maokai ult, but yeah, there's not much of a fight to be had here. They're too far now. SK can just rotate towards top, take top tier 1, and that's the advantage of not fighting that Drake. They can look for towers. Perks matches with a bot tower, so SK needs to now be careful of the replay from Vitality, where they can just start forcing mid. Certus might have to TP back here, but he's running bot. Exekick's alone mid. Looks like he'll be able to hold on as the rest of Vitality scatter towards the side lanes.
Perks now. Looks like for now he's just going to look to contest blue buff. Did not want to collapse mid there. Always risky with a Tristana in the side lane to push too aggressively. Champion just shreds through towers so quickly. But will be grabbed by Perks.
He just ulted? Yeah, he did. Maybe really scared of the Syndra Wing it. That's the biggest threat there.
Maybe he just really didn't want the blue buff to touch him.
Just really didn't like it.
Yeah, just not a fan.
Just wanted to throw the ult at him. It gets red as well, so it's almost like an Ivern bow right now. Just trying to give buffs to his... Gonna give him the Krugs too? Oh, good guy bow.
And, you know, caster narrative. Perks, former 80 carry.
True.
80 carry battle between Neon and Perks. See who will come out on top.
Are we gonna get a game where it's like Akshan top, Tristana mid, Kalista Caitlyn bot?
No.
Just 4 marksmen?
Please no.
As the game just gets deeper and deeper into these 80 carry pools, like Ezreal jungle throwback.
To be fair, if you can build a team with the Shy and Carry on it, I'll give you that team composition.
I think the Shy and Carry on the same team would probably have pulled that out already, actually. 5 marksmen.
Everything's a flex pick.
Get Perks in there as well in mid. Who's going where?
To be honest, I mean, the game has slowed down a lot. I feel like we were at a pretty breakneck speed when Marcoon was in control in the early game, but now both sides trading some kills, trading some objectives, but neither side looking to overcommit, so we're not really getting these big breakout fights. That said, pick on the side lane potentially here is Photon, flashing out to safety. Doesn't even need to go unstoppable quite yet, just buffers the stun on the E.
Got his flash, but they showed 2 tops, so now Vitality can run mid, but Exekick just popping emotes, knowing he already got the wave. There's no way they can get this tower. Perk's gonna recall and has TP. Certus will catch bot wave. I think the biggest benefit that Vitality has right now is the CS difference in mid is 50, yes, but it's also the experience difference. Certus is over a level down on this Tristana, so should be able to control the side wave. Still no flash on this Ornn, but no flash on the Renekton either.
Irrelevant, it's gonna get knocked up. He should just be chain CC. There's just not enough healing in the game to keep that Crocodile standing.
Do they look for a play here? They have TP on the Ornn. SK is trying to push them back to deny them any kind of Baron start here. But double 80 carry on Nash can burn straight through it. There's the TP from Photon right behind them, but he has no ult, so it's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
See if he can force a flash match from Certus.
Back in response. Photon taking a decent amount of damage in the exchange. Certus now TPing into the mid lane as you called out, Cadril.
Feels a bit wasted. Maybe he thought, oh, hang on a second, maybe it's not.
And then they're trying to lock down Exekick. He's immediately going to get ulted by the Lulu, but the exhaust on the Certus stops the ulti from finishing off any member of Vitality. Photon now walking away to safety. Perks with a quick knock back and leap out.
Relevant has TP as well. There's walls all around them. Here comes the TP on a pink. I think Bo should spot that out soon.
Irrelevant now coming in.
He's gonna die.
Irrelevant leaping over the wall. He's just gonna one-shot the tree, and now he gets him. Prowler's Clock used, but Irrelevant finding the kill. SK can just set their sights on Baron if they want to. A lot of low health bars, but they've got enough front line to maybe attempt this.
They can. They can go towards this Nash. Irrelevant can tank it. Honeyfruit to keep them topped up. No ultimates on Vitality. Flashes on the carries. Photon's incredibly low though, and he's their front line. Certus needs to save his stun as long as possible. Make sure he uses it very well. He does land it onto Perks. Good stun.
CC. Cocoon, beautiful there. Perks, Hexdrinker Shield gonna fall away in just a second here.
They're all so low.
There's no way they can do this. They have to concede this. SK grabbing the Baron. And again, we have to give credit to this team. It was controlled. They put it together so well. And when you look at the standings, this might not be what you expect from this lineup going toe-to-toe with the Vitality, who were on the road to being undefeated at the end of this week.
Yeah, fantastic game from them so far. A couple of hiccups here and there, but they're ahead. Certus has recovered a lot of that experience deficit. And it's Marcoon who's been the driving factor, but Vitality over-forcing here a bit. They get the kill top, then they TP behind, don't really achieve anything. They try to flash in, they don't achieve anything. Irrelevant then respawns and TPs in. Bit of disrespect from Vitality perhaps, and then in a 4v5 situation with Ornn being this low on HP, it's really hard for them to walk up, and now SK trying to press that advantage forward. See if they can look for any tier 2s here. Dragon's up in 15 seconds, but only the second Drake for them. They ideally want to crack open these tier 2s. Mid and bot looks like their focus.
Yeah, Perks has to be careful here. Obviously, you can buffer just about anything with that rocket jump, but if you miss it, or multiple pieces of CC come
Here comes
through,
a fight.
it can be difficult. Both these tank ultimates coming out. Now, instead of going for the members in the pinch, he's going for Circus on the backside. That's going to be Bo now taking down Exekick, looking to pop off here. Yumiel, just as a tool to disengage.
Wow. So, maybe Bo was expecting the Ornal to land on the two that were rooted, but instead it went through mid, and then Bo went in and died. Nice cocoon to land on from Marcoon onto Bo. Now they'll get bot tier 2. I don't think they can push for tier 3. We'll have to see. They have a small wave. Dragon's up. That could be the easy exit objective. There's no point of going to it straight away when you have Baron. You want to use that as an exit objective. So they are going to go for this tower. See if they can wave here. They have Sivir Tristana, but how can they step up? Looks like they'll get the majority of the wave, and then SK will say, okay, well, we tried. There was no harm in trying, and now we'll go towards this Dragon.
Happy to grab the Drake. Have to be careful, though. On the side of Vitality, Irrelevant is a very, very scary champion at this point in the game.
So, BDS sitting at 3 wins right now near the top of the table. SK, if they win this game, will sit at 3 wins as well. We're looking at it.
You know what I'm seeing right now?
XL and
all
Fnatic
of
at the
our
bottom.
early season predictions, or 90% of them, were just completely wrong.
Let's look at this Ornald here. If it could land on the Elise and the Zeri, maybe that's where Bo thought the turn would be. But instead it went towards Certus. So, a bit of misalignment there. They get the tower, then they go towards bot. Irrelevant already has a wave, and then they get 3 objectives. 2 towers. Oh, hang on a second, Perks.
Just going to do so much damage here. There's really just nowhere for Perks to go. Flash out to safety. Irrelevant backing away, holding on to his flash. I think just happy to be up the flash for the coming fight, which does make sense.
Holds the flash, you're completely right. Could have got that kill quite easily. Flash also, he was dead. But he wants to save it. He knows it'll be more important later on. There's nothing to play for right now. Their Baron buffs off in 10. Certus has a top wave going in, but SK is a bit too far away to collapse and take that final tier 2. So now it's just going to be a bit of a waiting game for SK. Hold vision. Don't let Vitality walk into river. Don't let them get vision. Don't let them set up with saplings and then look for this next Baron.
But this is the kind of advantage that SK had to build. Because again, if we came into 25 minutes with dead, even compositions, this game would have been so hard. But because they have advantage, because they have priority in so many of these lanes, they can set up vision first. They can find flank. They can poke out some of these members. If it was on the other foot and Vitality was just dropping saplings and setting vision down around dragons, there would just be no way for SK to approach these fights. So it is massive for them and their hopes in this game that they've been able to build the lead that they have.
Certainly is. It'll slow down a bit now, though. X-Kick just got the Infinity Edge. 3 items Zeri, really, really strong next to the Lulu. Spiking incredibly hard. Neon's quite far away from that Infinity Edge. But the Ornn items are coming in. The Sivir is already upgraded. See how many more Photon can get before before SK start pressing their advantage. They can still play for this top tier 2. They just need to play it very well, where Renekton pushes out the next bot wave, moves mid, catches the next mid wave, they collapse the Zeri top, and it's just a 4-man shift up. Perks has TP, though.
Down bot side should be pretty easy for Vitality to just match here and contest. Irrelevant, uncontested on the bot lane for now.
A bit difficult. 280 carries, a lot of wave clear.
And in this, we are now in the waiting game portion. And this is, again, we talked about it in draft. I don't want to oversell it here, but if we go late enough, you have to favor the Ornn. That said, SK aren't at that point yet. They're still holding on to their gold advantage.
But to be honest, when Irrelevant gets GA, I think he's just more useful in the Ornn until 2 or 3 more items come in. The GA just buying so much time, and he's getting closer and closer towards it.
I think the thing is that once Elise and Syndra have kind of thrown their combos out, if Ornn wants to hit them, that's great. But I don't think he's ever hitting the Zeri, and he's certainly not hitting the Renekton, and that is a big problem. The Maokai ult and the Ornn ult are going to feel great if they're in a pinch, if they're locked down by someone else, but they're so telegraphed, and they're so slow compared to a lot of other engage abilities that you're just never going to hit the Zeri who has Ghost, who has ulti, who's just so damn fast.
And Bo can never really use W on him because he's playing this AP build, doesn't have phase rush to get out. Doesn't have any tanky item, just gets melted straight away with barely any resistances. But Neon has Infinity Edge. Kaiser just picked up Mikhail's. So now, are we going to see Misfits Neon connect this game? The Sivir we saw in the playoffs last year that almost got Misfits to Worlds alongside VTO, just incredibly consistent, matching Exakick's items, if not slightly ahead because of that Honor upgrade. Let's see what he can get done. Irrelevant still has that flash that he saved. Baron's up in 20 seconds. SK will start pushing in mid and bot, pushing in top by Certus, getting all the vision down around Vitality's blue side jungle. And now Vitality have to find a way in, sweep it out, be really careful on face checks though. One Cocoon, one Syndra stun. That target's dead.
Yep. The good news is if they walk in to anything other than 5 members, the Ornn is tanky enough to at least face check a lot of what SK can bring to the table, but the map is so incredibly dark at this stage.
Saplings can check. They're going to go through mid. Don't even want to go through their own jungle. Don't want to face check those bushes. They just want to crash the waves. Look at the damage that Sapling did. That's DOS's HP bar, but XK just ults.
Just getting run down here again. He's so squishy because of this AP build. Yes, the Saplings hit like a truck, but is it going to be enough? XK now leaping out over the wall. That's all the mobility gone, but no one's going to get hit by the Ornn ultimate. Irrelevant right into the backline. He's shredding through Vitality. One member taken out. The GA now coming out. Maybe this is their opportunity to reset the fight. Neon, the ulti, already utilized. DOS so low, almost sniped over the wall. It's a close exchange. Both 80 carries still standing. They still have that beefy front line waiting in front of them. SK, how aggressive are they feeling? Do they really think they can start this Baron?
They need to lifesteal, reset, buy time. DOS needs to go back to base, get more wards, get his health bar back up. Certus finds Photon.
Excellent, excellent ulti.
And that's the time window they need. Now they can reset. They have enough time to work with. X-Kick lives through Perks' burst, and now they can start up the Baron. The red buff on the Zeri will heal her up. And this mid push from Vitality, it looked good initially, but both falls. Irrelevant just instantly one-shot straight through that Maokai. And it's the Guardian Angel that makes it so SK can win that fight and afford to go for that aggressive play. They will respond with a Dragon here, but we can see the damage Neon can do. Irrelevant steps up too far forward, that Sivir just melts through you. They're going to lose a top tier 2 here. SK still yet to base. Certus can recall and TP back in if he wants to.
Perk's going to do what he can to hold the wave here, but just not a lot of room for him to maneuver. We'll have to concede the tier 2. Getting Cloud does put them up to Soul Point, and those ultis are crucial in the big team fights. But you saw in the last game, or in the previous fight, if it's hard for either the Ornn or the Maokai to really be the primary initiator with just their ultimates.
Yeah. I wonder what SK can actually get done with this Baron. I'm not sure if they can crack an inhibitor unless Vitality make a mistake. All they're going to have to do is sit in their base and just throw Saplings over the wall and just clear the waves with Sivir. But here's the fight again. Bo, the Cocoon, I think X-Kick thought that Cocoon would land, so that's why he instantly pre-ults thinking he can burst him down. The damage on dots from the Saplings is just so much. The Yumi ult, Neon has to flash away here thinking that Irrelevant's going to Prowler's Claw on him, but he goes for Bo instead. And no spell shield, no flash, no barrier. Neon just plays it really slow. Fight in River though. Maybe Vitality found a pick.
Marcoon caught out. This could be big. Certus waiting off to the side. It's a big stun. Is it enough to keep the fight going? Irrelevant still has flash. Irrelevant. Maybe he can leap his way to the backline. Execute untouched. It's huge. The Crocodile. He holds on to the flash for so long across so many fights, but he will find Perks when it counts. And Exekick now on cleanup duty as Photon has to run for the hills. SK, they took down G2 yesterday, and they're on the path to take down Vitality right here.
That is game over in the River there. SK collapse instantly on Vitality's play. They could have just sat in base and tried to hold the line and scale up a little bit more, but they look for the pick. Marcoon buys enough time. The collapse comes through, and that's SK 2-0 so far this weekend. G2 and Vitality undefeated coming in. SK handing them their first loss.
SK knocking down G2, knocking down Vitality. And that man on your screen right now, Irrelevant, deserves so much love. A beautiful Renekton performance. And I thought he didn't even use the flash. He was just holding it. He's like double lift saving it for next game, but he actually wins things, Mark. It's incredible.
It is, and our league is also incredible. What's going on? SK just taking down the top teams, BDS finding upsets too. The standings are all shaken up.
And credit to SK.
Yeah.
I felt like based on what we saw yesterday that every single team that was going to win today would kind of just outscale or stomp in the early game. And SK refused to be outscaled. They outplayed across so many different moments in the game. Marcoon again, don't think he's getting Elise again, believe it or not, based on the last 2 performances. And really just a team-wide effort. Yesterday, it really felt like, you know, Certus was the one who stepped up alongside Marcoon. Today, Irrelevant, Exekick also just playing fantastically. So SK, more and more starting to feel like the whole package, at least for this weekend. We'll see what happens in the weeks to come, but an incredible day, an incredible 2 days now for SK.
Definitely has been. Found the formula that works for them, and that's what the best of ones are all about. The first round is all about, well, I say first round, there's only one round now, but it's all about finding a formula for success, whether that's scaling, whether that's heavy early game, anything that can get you these wins on the board to get you to the next round is just so crucial. And now SK sitting at 3, one more win kind of soft locks them into top 8. I don't want to say the numbers because of course there can be tiebreakers and such, but yeah, SK and BDS flying.
I'm speechless, to be honest. It's incredible 2 days for SK. BDS as well. I think defying so many of our expectations thus far, and I honestly love to see it. Challenge those expectations, show the world that you've got more, and today SK showed us.
Yeah.
But player of the game at LEC on Twitter, Irrelevant, Marcoon, Exakick are your options.
I think Marcoon had an insane early game, just outclassing Bo, finding plays for his team, and although the gold was even, it was Marcoon finding those plays to keep them in an even state, being able to get that mid-game and skirmish around those objectives.
Exakick, great fights.
Yep.
Irrelevant, hero performance on the Renekton. Absolutely unplayable for whatever 80 carry happened to wander close enough to him to do anything. So no doubt it was a team effort, but for now, we're going to head over to Lore and hear from Certus, the man in the mid lane.
Thank you, guys. Certus for his very first on-stage LEC interview. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk about the non-Yumi agreement on Twitter. You were mentioning that you knew they were going to first pick the champion?
Yes, I mean, we have high prio on the champ, and I think they also have high prio on the champ. So, and Yumi is still broken. That's why we kind of knew they will first pick it.
I hope the cat goes away soon, and I think the audience thinks the same. Certus. Thank you, guys. I'm really happy to talk to you today because we had this conversation last year about your improvements and everything. How much stronger do you feel this time with SK compared to your first year in the LEC?
I'm definitely much more confident.
It shows.
Also with my new roster, I think I have really good teammates, especially it showed today. I didn't do that much. And yeah, I'm really happy so far.
Getting carried today, let's say?
Yes, I did my job in the last fight. I just flash ulted the ADC and he died.
Joking, of course, but yeah, you guys have been doing an amazing job so far. And talking to Exakick and the rest of the team backstage, it feels like playing more loose and relaxed. Joking a bit is really playing well for you. Can you tell me about the whole mood within SK and how much you guys trust each other to display this kind of performance on stage?
Yeah, I mean, our scrum results were really decent, but then when we went into the first week, we felt like really nervous. And we just tried for the second week to be calm, be relaxed, confident, play like it's a scrum game. And so far it shows we bet G2 and Vitality.
Yeah, G2, Vitality, Koi tomorrow. We'll talk about this one a bit later. I had a quick question about the draft. We saw Perks picking Tristana blind this time. What do you think of the champion and the choice he made here?
I mean, the champ is pretty strong in lane. Yeah. But I think you get outscaled in the current meta. And yeah, that's why I don't think it's that good at the moment.
At all, because I think it's the first competitive Tristana in major regions, so you don't expect we'll see the champion again?
No, I will not expect it.
All right. Well, enough about the meta. Let's focus on tomorrow. G2 down, Vitality down today, the two undefeated teams so far. What do you have cooking for Koi tomorrow?
I mean, we will be prepared. We will be much more confident than Koi. I think like yesterday they lost to Heretics. And yeah, I'm just excited. Can't wait to play against them.
Yeah, it's been an amazing week for you guys so far. We'll see if it continues against Koi tomorrow. So just thank you so much for this interview. We will see you for the last game and we're going to take a short break now. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes for Team Heretics versus G2 Esports. Yonkers versus his former team. Stay tuned.
G2, I think G2's strength, so it's hard to say because they changed everyone besides Caps right now. Actually, BB, I think that their strongest point this year will be probably the strongest lanes in Europe. I think they probably have like the best lanes in every single like aspect. So I think beating them will probably mean a better team play. I think this team will most likely struggle around not really moving around the map, but just like team decisions and how they have to play around each other, because all of them want to carry in a way, all of them have a lot of egos. So I think beating them is just having like a stable early game and pulling the trigger when it's the right time. For me, it was not my decision to leave G2, right? It was their decision kind of to change anglers, and I feel like it makes sense, right? Because in the end, after so many years in G2 esports, I never won Worlds. And I feel like for them to win everything, they want to try something else. And for me, it's either retirement and streaming, which I was choosing from, or still trying my strength in a different team. And I feel like if I were to retire, I wouldn't probably come back like W just did. So I wanted to still play. I still feel like I have a lot to show and a lot of good things to bring to a new team, especially. So I'm trying my hardest.
And we're certainly happy that Jankos chose to continue playing. He's a legend in his own right, looking for his next chapter, while on the other side, Yike is looking for his first chapter with G2. Now, G2 versus Heretics, a bit of a
grudge match
between Jankos and Yike. Overall, though, Heretics yesterday had an exceptional showing versus their Spanish rivals in Koi, and G2 Esports was set aside by SK. So different motivations coming in here, of course. Heretics looking to keep the streak going. G2 looking to bounce back.
Yeah, 100%. I think G2 was kind of limited by their own draft as well, but the SK obviously played phenomenal, and I think coming into this matchup from the Team Heretics perspective, well, Jankos was very much one of the pinpoints as well in their victory yesterday on the Graves. While Malrang was kind of out jungling himself, he still got a lead on one of these junglers, and I think it's amazing to see that Jankos is not just going to be on dog junglers all the time. He's actually going to be on junglers where he wants to get the impact himself.
And looking at that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it's interesting when you look at his time on G2 then as well, because forever he was the guy that was like, as he said, best lanes in Europe. So I don't really have to be like the focal point. I'm gonna use my pressure to gank those lanes, get them even further ahead. And I think the evolution looking at G2 coming into this year was use our best lanes in Europe, and now we're gonna use those to get our jungler ahead, which is completely turning their old identity on its head.
Yeah, and I think that really brings in a discussion of style as well. We've seen a flexible style come through from Jankos, where we've seen both the carry, but also the kind of junglers that needs to facilitate the lanes. Whereas from the side of Yike, we've seen jungler that's full-blown carry. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact, with what Jankos said, if you have the best laners in the league in every single lane, you can allow yourself to be a carry jungler because you don't need to facilitate them. They will facilitate you. Well, on Jankos' side, I think he brings the flexibility. He's not always going to have the winning lane. We've seen that from the bot lane as well, but he will have that flexibility to allow himself to play for these lane, to have a flexible style if he needs to be the carry or if he needs to be the facilitator.
And to take that into account, yeah, especially looking at the game yesterday, they bullied Malrang kind of out of his jungle and from his camps together with Evie, because Evie's been so strong on that Cassante. Jankos on Graves just went in and looked for him, and then they always had the upper hand when it came to the skirmishes. And that was a plan crafted, it seems, specifically for that. So
absolutely. I mean, Evie has been absolutely insane, and this was the first game I think that he hasn't gotten a solo kill. I saw Coach Peter making a tweet about that, which is so sad. But this guy, and like the fearlessness he has in team fights, always looking for another angle, and I still don't think that every player has figured out what the limits are on this Cassante champion, especially in team fights. You can see him catching players completely off guard.
Yeah, and now I've seen a lot of Cassantes being played in our league. I can say without a doubt that Evie is the best one that's playing them. I think only rival potentially by Odo in his first game against G2 as well. But what an insane beast he's been this champion. I know it's super broken, but he's the one consistently making it look like this. So great performance from Evie so far, and I feel like this is one of the champions you just cannot allow him to get. Somebody's got to ban it now.
yeah, it's one of those things where, wow, is he getting it again? He had so many cheers, by the way, from the audience, and I'm sure he heard it and also gave them a thumbs up to thank them for that. The Cassante on Abby, super strong, probably won't see it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. People haven't been
Yeah, it's true, actually.
So I hope we get to see it. But I
hope not. I'm tired of this.
I love it. It's great. I'm the biggest, the hype man for it. I love that he's evolved. It's not just a thumbs up. You always know you're going to get a punch picture right before the game.
Absolutely.
Punch with your thumbs up.
When it comes to Heretics, yesterday I think was a huge game for them, obviously because of the growing rivalry, but also the fact that they didn't have a great week one, only were able to get one win, a lot of confidence. So if they can keep going on that, they can take a serious step towards that top 8. On the other hand, we have G2, and I know we are used to saying, oh, G2, they drop a game here and there, but I think for a budgeting roster like this, you still have to be realistic and think that could have been a knock to some of these players' confidence, right? So what is their focus coming into this game, specifically looking at Yike and the jungle?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first focus is looking at yesterday.
So well for that success.
I mean, turn your attention to G2 Esports, bouncing back from that loss yesterday, playing against Jankos as well. We imagine Jankos is going to be very, very fired up. With the draft about to start, what sort of champions are you anticipating? We've seen a little bit of changes coming into week 2 from week 1, but those high priority picks still on the cards. The Maokais, the Yumis, the Caitlins.
I mean, the Heimerdinger as well, right? We saw what Mickey and Hansama were able to do when they got their hands on that. So probably not going to see that one come through. But already, as we load into the draft, the Caitlyn's gone, the Yumi's gone. I imagine we will see Maokai taken off the board on the opposite side for G2. But, I mean, with the Ashe gone as well, Varus does become quite high priority here as well.
It does indeed. Of course, with that Maokai now removed from the pool, what direction will we see these teams going? In terms of that Maokai, it's only been Jankos with 1 game played so far here in Winter. And for Mickey as well as Mercer, 4 games played, a different champion every single time.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of story for a lot of these teams is, look, there's a lot of kind of flexibility you can go for on the bot side of the map, but when it comes back towards jungle, we're seeing like the Wukongs, the Vi's, Maokai's, then kind of Sejuani. And I mean, for Jankos, he's kind of been the guy who is that facilitator in that jungle role, but he did end up whacking out the Graves there the other day and had a fairly significant job, or did a fairly good job on it, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them kind of open up for Jankos to be a secondary carry when it works.
Especially if Jankos is feeling it. Team Heretics managed to pick up that win yesterday. Very hard fought. Taking a lot of time here on this first pick. And in terms of some of the available champions, Lucian still up. That Zeri still up as well.
So this is something that Cadril actually brought up on his cast the other day, was we are seeing a lot of Eastern teams pick the Nami first if you want to go for the Lucian Nami, because there is always the option here for Mickey X to try and take that Nami away and make it a little bit more uncomfortable here for the Lucian in that bottom side of the map, but it looks like they aren't going to. Instead, I mean, they're going to go aggressive. Are we going to get that Draven again for Hansama?
Ooh, does he feel it? I mean, Nautilus is Mickey's 5th most played champion, 62% win rate, and it's going to be the blind Jax from Broken Blade right now, throwing down that gauntlet, daring Evi to run something into it. I think Broken Blade will relish the challenge of going up against Evi's Cassante if they decide to lock it in.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly. I feel like you take your jungler here, although it feels like both teams aren't certain what way they want to go. Wukong, incredibly strong for Jankos if he wants to. At least also if you want to try and go for, hey, look, we're going to spike around this early game with the Lucian Nami, look to set up tower dives off that bot lane pressure. May not be the worst thing in the world, but you know there's going to be a hell of a lot of early aggression when the Nautilus is locked into the other side. That's a kill lane that G2 are setting up.
And of course, this Lucian Nami duo has the ability to completely take over lane. Jack Spectre and Mercer going to stare down the barrel of Hansama and Mickey. Dare them to fight. We'll see what the answer will be from Hansama. And Team Heretics now, do they lock in that jungler? Do they lock in a reply to top? And it's going to be a Jankos classic. The Elise is now secure.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, right? They want to try and play around this bot side, make sure that they can use the early pressure Elise offers to play heavily around this bot side. But we called already.
Do it.
Go on.
That is done. Locked in. Okay, this is awesome. But this also means there's going to be a lot of lanes to focus on. Jankos on that Elise will have gank ability once we see the solo lane secured for Heretics. Nautilus Draven into Lucian Nami. Hit one of those skill shots and somebody's going to die.
I think the big question, though, is what does Yike want to take into that bot side? Because you need something that can go aggressive against the Elise. And we're kind of going, okay, well, you know, Wukong can't really match her in these early stages. He wants to try and hit level 6. I mean, you've already got the things like the Maokai taken off the board, so it feels like you're kind of going into, you know, sideways territory here where Jarvan, but also Jarvan doesn't really do great against Elise. So I'm really curious to see exactly what's going to come out here for the jungler for G2.
I mean, of course, that Viego still available for now. Sejuani removed from the pool. The reason I mentioned the Viego, it is Yike's most played champion. And on the other side, Jankos' second most played champion is Elise. Of the 800 professional games he's played, 85 of them are on Elise. He's got a 60% win ratio. It's a champion that we haven't seen in Pilot in a while. The last ban there from G2 is going to be Azir, so really limiting Ruby's effective champion pool for now.
Yeah, I think the Vi would be another good one to try and hit on here when you're looking at Heretics. I think the fact that you've already got the Sejuani gone, you don't really want that point-and-click CC for something like Lucian, especially when you are playing this short range, but it looks like instead they are going to go towards the Viego. I mean, Yike has gone towards more carry-oriented junglers across the board, so not fully surprised to see it, but I think this does leave Yike open to kind of flex his muscles a little bit and see what else he wants to try and bring into the jungle here, because I want something that can just go for broke on this bot side, go hell for leather, and just match all the aggression that we're going to get from Heretics.
Well, he's only played the Graves and the Kindred this winter. And will we get the Bel'Veth hovering for now? That looks like it will be locked in. Okay, what do you make of this? It is hell for leather, but not the way we're anticipating it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely another carry coming out for him. I don't think he'll be able to match a lot of the early pressure that the Elise is bringing to the table. But, I mean, as you start to go into the game, right, you end up with at least someone where, on Heretic side, very short-range composition, you should be able to get good value out of this Bel'Veth in these team fights, especially with the point-and-click CC Nautilus brings. You've got good engage, and I mean, Eddie's just going to go for it again, 5 for 5 with the Cassante.
Why not? With that cocoon available from Jankos' Elise, a little bit more power to potentially be the recipient of some ganks. I think I'm very intrigued to see how this jungle matchup will play out, because not only is Jankos going to be coming up against his former team, but the Bel'Veth really wants to prioritize those early Rift Heralds and really wants to get control of that river. Will G2 be able to set it up in time? Lock-in, lost now for Caps. He's going to be playing into Ruby's Victor.
Yeah, and this is where I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you want to bring to the table? Because you're up against a double AP mid-jungle, which oftentimes can kind of lend itself to some funky picks, and we've seen Caps bring out some stuff, but gonna go with the Twisted Fate here. So we wanted to get the jungler to be able to match a lot of this aggression on bot side, but it's actually gonna be Caps who's going for the Twisted Fate to try and bring that pressure down to the bot lane. So I think for Yike, he's gonna have to play heavily around Caps in this early stage, make sure that he's able to get in a position where he can actually leave this lane against the Victor and try and play around this bottom side.
I really like that expectation setting. We'll be able to track that in-game, how and where Yike decides to path. Similarly, what can Jankos do? Because he's got 2 lanes with some CC, a lot of damage to work around. So a lot of tools, a lot of potential action in the early game. One quick stat for you. Yike all-time on Bel'Veth is 9 wins and 1 loss.
It's not a bad stat to bring to the table, and especially for Jankos. I want to see now if he can try and add a second loss to that, because one of the big things we saw from Marcoon yesterday with SK was, hey, let's try and split the map. Let's try and disrupt bot lane. We got to see if Jankos can do it here as well.
Can he get inside the heads of G2? Disrupt that scaling powerhouse of the Jax, of the Bel'Veth. Similarly, on the other side, going to be looking at Caps' Twisted Fate. Get control of that middle lane and try to apply pressure everywhere else. You've had a couple of upsets yesterday and today. Will Heretics continue the trend? That's the question, Dagda. They've got the tools. Do they have the skills today?
I mean, it is definitely tough going up against G2, but I mean, they showed yesterday gods can bleed. We'll have to see if we can have it again.
Well, which one will be bleeding today? We're about to hit Summoner's Rift for Team Heretics taking on G2 Esports. Oh, we're not there yet. Okay, we're almost ready. It's just a moment or two away as the players are now loading into the game. I'm just waiting for the cue. Where's the music? Where's the music? Oh. Now we're ready for Heretics versus G2. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Defensive starts for now. No shenanigans afoot. I want to ask you to expand on this jungle matchup that we have on our hands and potentially look at where both Yike and Jankos are going to start. Can we draw any conclusions and see what direction they're going? I think both of their respective champions have the ability to completely dominate and take over the game if they manage to get rolling and get accelerated.
Yeah, I think it's in 2 very different ways though, right? We want the Elise to get going in the early game, whereas when you look towards the Bel'Veth, it's, hey, look, we've got a good late game scaling carry on our hands, so let's see if we can get her there, play towards these early Rift Heralds so we get the Void Remora. But I think the big question mark for me here is, how does Jankos play this out? Because I think something that Marcoon did very cleverly yesterday was split the map against Yike. Yike has pretty much every single game gone for one of these invades where he tries to go in level 2, level 3 and disrupt his opposition, and it's why he has one of the highest counter jungling rates in the league. But when you look across at Marcoon, he kind of exploited that. He was like, cool, I'm just going to immediately go into the other side of the jungle, try and split the map as flash forward.
Now, that's the engage already, dagged up. Flash forward from Mickey. Gets the bop, gets the dredge line, and Jack Spectra's down to 200 hit points. He's still got 2 potions to work with. But I think the cleanse was used in that previous engage, so that should be on cooldown. As all of a sudden, Mickey's just waiting. Hex Flash is charging up. Will land the Q, manages to lock down Mercer. Hans Summer is bullying this bottom lane, and it is a tough lane to play into.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're seeing these early summoners blown to try and find these advantages, right? Especially as a Draven, you want to make sure you're making it as uncomfortable as possible. Even the fact that you have the Bel'Veth coming down the spot side of the map as well, you want to make sure that you're setting up these plays for Yike and making it uncomfortable for Heretics to help out Jankos.
All right, look at the pathing right now. Both junglers starting on the top half of the map, making their way down. Yike is about to clear out his blue buff, and it looks like Jankos sitting inside the Krugs. How long does Mickey and Hans Summer stick around? Now, Hex Flash is available for Mickey. Flash Exhaust still up for Hans Summer. And I'm just keeping my eyes on that mini-map, waiting to see if either jungler pounce. While that's going on, Broken Blade is pushing in the top lane, and Ruby's pushing mid, but Dagda, Jankos will step over this ward, spot it out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of helpful for Yike as well, because he just wants to try and finish his full clear, reset, and get back onto the map. So knowing that Jankos is now drifting across towards his top side, you can even count the amount of CS he has with the 16 divided by 4. He's done 4 camps, so it means you have a good idea here as Yike as to what exactly this pathing was, and knows that he's going to be heading back up towards that top end, so he doesn't have to actually stick around too long to help out a bot lane.
Yeah, of course. Talking about that top lane, Leap comes out from Broken Blade, chunking and bullying Ebby for now. Both junglers still in this bottom quadrant of the map. That dredge line threaded through the minions. Jack Spectra forced to flash away. First blood secured by Hans Summer and G2. Now they turn the damage onto Jankos, and Yike is in the wings. If they stick around, do they fancy themselves a dive going forward? Mickey's stepping out and looking for a target, trying to use that turret for body block, but Jankos is down. Yike gets himself one. Turning attention to Mercer and Dagda. I think this is a dead fish. No, backing up because the tower managed to tag onto Yike.
I mean, the sushi is still in trouble. It will fall, it will get rolled, but Mickey will roll over with it as well. Another kill going across. G2 will help out a little, but I mean, this is just awful for Heretics. This is the one lane you didn't want going over towards G2.
And we've seen Hans Summer get fed early on Draven already this winter. I wonder, I'm trying to understand. It looked to me like Jack Spectra was stepping forward into the wave. Let's take a look at this as Mickey manages to find a fantastic dredge line.
Yeah, I mean, that dredge line was absolutely incredible, and I mean, it sets up perfectly there. I think he thought he was safe, but I mean, lawless hook magic, right? We've all kind of seen what that thing can do. And now Yike just takes it as an opportunity. He was on the scuttle, easy collapse here at the bot side. They focus out the jungler, and once that's gone, I mean, what do you do here is this Nami. You've got no health, you've got no mana, and you've got nowhere to go.
I really like the just communication and coordination in terms of the dive. Wait for that minion wave. Obviously, in the numbers advantage, it was relatively easy to execute. As we're getting a double replay here. Excuse us for a moment or two.
That creep didn't stand a chance.
No, it didn't, as we are having a little bit of struggles with the HUD there. But 5 minutes in, 2,000 gold up, and 1,500 of that is already in Hans Summer's back pocket. Heretics cannot afford to let Hans Summer continue that steamroll. They have to try play a little bit more defensive and hope that Jankos, Ruby, or maybe Ebby can try to balance it out.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic know all about it, right? Where Hans Summer set the record for the earliest mythic in LEC history, and I mean, he wants to try and see if he can keep that record going with this Draven, but Heretics looking to try and respond. They're moving in towards this mid lane, but I don't think they can really do anything. I mean, yes, you can move over towards Dragon if you want to, but Caps is safely underneath this tower, and I mean, G2 are in position, so trying to set up maybe for a pick onto Yike, but it just seems a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, opportunistic play doesn't pay off. Yike definitely did not path in a direction that he was under any threat, and now with the backup of Mickey stepping forward into Jankos' jungle, we'll try to clear out some of those little raptors and again keep threatening, keep implying the pressure so that both Jack Spectra and Mercer have to be aware, and similarly, Jankos has to respond. We're setting up for another 3v3.
Yeah, Mickey setting up behind here, but even if Jankos is just here to dissuade the dive, you're still losing a camp, right? So G2 are still winning, and as an Elise, you don't want to be on the defensive footing in these scenarios. You're the one that wants to be the aggressor, and G2 are taking the entire wind out of the sails of Heretics right now.
Of course, Jankos' ability to impact the lanes significantly reduced, but I think for the side of G2 and Yike, we're seeing that same trend continue, where Yike does play very forward, does play significantly more in the enemy's jungle. You can see that counter jungle percentage at the bottom of the screen, first versus Jankos' fifth. And I think for Yike, this is just a great start, and even better, limiting the impact that Elise can have.
Yeah, and I think it kind of tells the story of these two jungles, right? When you look at Jankos, he's kind of been the babysitter, right? In a lot of situations, he's the one that's reading the map, reading his opponent to be in a position where he can deny dives, he can deny setup when you've got a good wave state on the opposition side. And that is exactly what we saw here, right? Getting down to that bottom side, preventing another dive coming through from G2. But for Yike, he's been stepping up to be that big carry. This is now the 5th pick that he's brought out to the table as well. The Velvet is looking good at the moment with a kill, with a 10 CS lead. Yike wants to be a carry and get in the face of the enemy jungler to steal away those camps.
And he's got the abilities to do so. We haven't really looked at the other lanes because of all the action in the bottom lane, but Abby's got himself a small CS advantage, the only member of Heretics currently leading their opposition, but there is a significant wave that Broken Blade can clear out and potentially close that gap. We're dead even in the mid lane, but Caps is level 7. So with the advantage in this bottom lane and the Destiny available, there it is, being channeled, immediately arrives. That was a great bubble coming up from Jack Spectra with the help of the towers. Not going to be able to find anything. The minions have been cleared out though. Jack Spectra, no flash, no cleanse, no ultimate, and he is in trouble. While that's going on, there's another fight in the top lane. Evie manages to get the kill onto Broken Blade. All of a sudden, Jankos trying to take out Yike. He's got the hit points, and with the spinning axes, Hans Sama should be able to pick up another 2-0-2. Make that 3-0-2 in the bottom lane, and here comes Ruby. A new challenger appears. How effective can he be? No flashes available. The dredge line was fantastic. The Chaos Storm ticking away, but then the spinning axes absolutely decimate.
It's happening again! Quick shot! Hans Sama is massive on this Draven, and G2 are so good at playing around this Draven every time it's been locked in. 4 kills now. The Rod of Ages completed for Caps off that reset as well. G2 are firmly in the driving seat.
Oh man, it's at the tip of the spear with Hans Sama. Emby's now in trouble. No flash available to him. No ult either. And with 2 members chasing him down, Jankos will not be able to connect that cocoon. It was just dodged away from. Rift Herald is up and available. Do G2 fancy a shot? 4,500 gold lead. They are obliterating that bottom lane. Kraken Slayer already completed, as well as those Berserker's Greaves. And once G2 decide to either apply pressure for the tower, the plates, or the next dragon, they can start moving Hans Sama and Mickey around and just take complete control of Summer's Rift.
And the thing is, you're not even winning out on that top side of the map either, right? Like, Jack Spectra and Mercer struggling. We've been highlighting Ebby as this amazing Cassante the entire way through, but, I mean, he's 1 and 2 now. He's, yes, got a bit of a CS lead for himself, but that gold is favoring Broken Blade, and with this Jax getting to that late game scaling is the core of this build, and he's going to be a monster when it gets to that stage.
Look at the damage. Dredgeline once again connects onto Mercer. He's down to 500 hit points. Whirling Death doesn't secure it for now. He's going to try heal himself back up with that ebb and flow. Jankos looking for an opportunity, but there's simply not enough damage, and I think he'll get melted before he can get in without perfect CC. And again, this Elise continually hovering around that bottom lane, down nearly 2,000 gold over Yike's Belveth, who's just picked up that Kraken Slayer as well.
And you notice that there's no overextension from G2 on these plays, right? Because all they want to do is try and blow summoner spells, blow health bars, start to chip away at the turret, because they know Caps' Destiny is about to come back up. They want to make sure they will always outnumber Heretics on this bottom side of the map, alongside the big gold advantage that they have. So now that Caps is able to shove in that mid, look where he's roaming to. Immediately pulling down towards the bot side, so they can set up plays if anyone from Heretics shows up underneath this tower.
He's got that teleport available as well as the Destiny available to him. Yike will find Mercer for a little bit of chip damage. There's not enough support to fully commit for that one. I mean, let's turn our attention now to these next objectives. A minute to go before the dragon is up, as Ruby has been caught out. Destiny arrives, Yike is on a rampage.
So, for objectives, it's very good if you have your mid lane. That definitely helps out as Heretics trying to make a play on the bot side here, but just going to tickle the back of Mickey X. I mean, I don't know how Heretics are supposed to try and respond to this when Caps now gets full push in mid. You can already see that river is littered with red wards. You're going to have this Herald put down as well. The Void and Remora are here as well, which means that this is going to take a lot of damage off this turret.
I mean, it has to be flawlessly executed from Heretics. The Cocoon does land. Yike has a 2-level advantage over Jankos as the gold card buys some time. Here comes Jack Spectra. Yike stays alive. That Royal Maelstrom doing so much work. Finally shut down. Some gold going into that Lucian's back pocket. But while that is going on, down in the bottom lane, pressure as that tower is being sieged. Mickey with the Hex Flash. He's channeling, pops over and doesn't throw the Q for now. Instead, just going to be happy to apply pressure, take more of these plates, and at least a small piece of gold coming back to Heretics.
And G2 are eating good right now. I mean, you've got 3 plates gone on top, you've got 4 gone on bot, you've taken 3 in mid as well. G2 are completely out of control. I mean, we're 12 minutes into the game and look at the gold lead. I mean, it's 6,000 gold.
6,000 gold. So for Heretics, they need a miracle, a couple of maybe over-eager plays. What have you thought of G2's objective setups in other games? Let's disregard both Draven matchups. What do you think about their setups, vision, etc.? I'll give you a second to think about that as Broken Blade fancies a small shot. Is going to be threatened for now, and maybe doesn't have the damage, but here comes Mickey as well.
Yeah, I think G2 are one of the best teams at playing at the map when they have a lead. So this is where it becomes very terrifying as Broken Blade goes aggressive.
Jankos is here too, sees Mickey, sees Hans Sama. Cocoon connects, at least slows down the Draven for now. Venomous bite in and repel up. Ebby's the target of Mickey. Hans Sama finds himself the kill with the help of Broken Blade. That little root will land once more, leaping forward onto the minions, and yet another kill to G2, as well as the Dragon on the other side of the map.
And this is what I was about to talk about for G2. They're one of the best teams at using those tempo advantages to keep the plays rolling, and it ain't gonna stop us. Ruby will feel a little bit of hurt coming through from Yike, but they're able to move around so effectively on the map that now they've already got that top lane turret going for themselves. They're gonna look towards mid lane as well. Like, this is how they keep snowballing their leads with these quick picks and catching people unaware.
Of course, rotating the Fed members is just doing wonders. That gold lead continues to balloon. It's over 8,500 gold. And for G2, second time we've seen Hans Sama and Mickey popping off. I think the two of them cannot be allowed to get a Draven lane again in winter, because it doesn't matter what the opposition is so far. They have demonstrated they can absolutely dumpster.
But it's the fact that they're playing so aggressive, and I know that's what a lot of people are hoping for when they saw Hans Sama and Mickey being reunited, was this is going to be a kill lane. This is someone who wants to go aggressive, and we're getting level 1 double summoner spells burn just to try and put pressure onto the opposition. That's exactly what you need to try and do in a situation where you don't have the stronger early game jungler, but you can force a very uncomfortable bot lane that now gives that advantage to your triple threat on G2.
Oh man, such a great start, such a great game. And of course, a lot of it coming from Yike backing up the advantages that the bottom lane was able to build up. Now, Destiny has been channeled. When does Caps want to throw it down? Stepping forward. Jankos repels up into the air. Cleanse already used from Jack Spectra. Summon a heal used to keep him alive. Teleport is being channeled. Zebi will join the fray. Nobody's died just yet. That's a great knockback and stun. All of a sudden the damage is there, but Jack Spectra's so low, he cannot get into the fight. Ruby wasn't able to join either. Teleports on cooldown. It may have been interrupted. That's a flash away from Jack. Yike turns his attention once more, and Broken Blade brings the hammer down. Another kill. 3 in the bottom lane.
And they still had Hans Sama in mid. They were just able to take that mid turret off that play as well. G2 are taking leads everywhere. We get bot turret just off this. That's all outer turrets gone. And when you're looking at third dragon in just 3 minutes time, how do you try and push forward as Heretics here to contest this?
I mean, it's I don't know if it is possible, being this far behind against, especially champions like Bel'Veth and Draven, who are already very oppressive and challenging. They need to have some sort of pick play, some sort of vision opportunity, or alternatively punish G2, which is going to be very, very challenging to do. For G2, it is not even 16 minutes in game. They've got 2 minutes before their next dragon. They've pushed all of the outer turrets down, so it does become a little bit more risky to push deeper into Heretics territory. So I would imagine for the next few minutes, the game will likely slow down just a little bit.
Well, I think we're going to have Rift Tower coming up here, right? So already you can see they're trying to get position on this. They're actually moving Broken Blade down with the rest of the team towards this objective, knowing that Ebi doesn't have the teleport available. So Twisted Fate going to push in top. Now they're able to establish that control by having a numbers advantage, by having that push in mid, get that vision control in, and then it's an easy pickup here for G2. And now it's a case of how do you want to try and push this forward? I imagine you keep this for, a minute and a half's time. You plonk that Rift Tower down in mid. Now you've got pressure mid. You've got control over Dragon. It makes it so easy now to continue this game plan forward as honestly, actually, Heretics have just completely lost their top side. They're going to lose this tier 2.
They are going to be trading it for at least a bounty in that bottom turret. Evi will be trying to push that wave out as much as he can. There's such a significant item disparity between these two teams that Heretics are definitely not looking for a full-on skirmish or team fight. They just don't have the stats or the damage to back it up. So listen, we've got a moment or two here. If anybody missed the Baron Tank's session video from earlier today, the deal that Ramar proposed and actually got some form of approval on was if G2 were able to kill Jankos 6 times today, and I believe kill Perk 6 times tomorrow, if I recall correctly, then they will be able to get an all G2 analyst desk. They are 1 kill away from the first milestone of killing Jankos 6 times.
I mean, this is probably going to happen. I'll be very surprised at this state of the game if Jankos doesn't die one more time minimum. So then it just becomes a case of like, how can they then just perma push mid jungle, just try and kill Bo and Perks over and over again? I think that's going to be such a banger game. But here we go.
Well, Evi's the target for now. Destiny was used there by Cap, so now the kill secured. The 17th in 18 minutes of gameplay.
Look at the amount of point remora that
there
are
are
here.
So many little manta rays pushing this bottom lane. Another tower has fallen. And I was anticipating G2 maybe slowing down, maybe playing the lanes a little more. They don't need to. They are so far ahead. The Heretics simply cannot stand toe-to-toe. The inhibitor turret is now taken down. The inhibitor will follow
they just go
suit.
for the end?
5 versus 3.
Go for the end.
They're going to push for the Nexus turrets. Sub 20 minutes. Stat team, what's the quickest game we've ever had in the LEC? Another kill secured as Jankos is popped for the 6th time. The Nexus turrets are now being focused as well. Will we get a dancing Rift Herald? I think we might. The Nexus is being focused at 18 minutes and 40 seconds. G2 dominate Heretics.
We had a dancing herald in the LEC. What is going on? G2 once more bring out this Draven pick. It looks absolutely incredible. Yike is able to play around that bot side, and I'm speechless. How is it over that quick?
Flawless game from G2. They absolutely accelerated, but I think crucially as well, they moved that advantage around. It felt like perfectly. They got the Heralds, they kept applying pressure. Even at 16, 17 minutes, as soon as that wave started to crash top lane, took the tower down and immediately moved bottom lane. I mean, the wave control was just exquisite.
I mean, in my opinion, G2 are the most terrifying team that we have in the LEC with the lead, right? They're very good at snap decision making, all turning as one, making sure that they're able to use their tempo advantage, effectively trading the map. So it always feels like even when you think you're trading 1-for-1, they're getting extra across the board. Like, it's so difficult to manage that against G2. And now we're seeing a very similar story here for G2, where coming into this, they've been